It's my honor to introduce my colleague and friend, the Honorable Kent Hehr, Minister of Veterans Affairs and Associate Minister of National Defence. This man has accomplished a great deal for someone who has dealt a devastating blow at a very young age. On October 3rd, 1991, Minister Hehr was the victim of random violence. After a drive-by shooting in Calgary, he was left a paraplegic, paralyzed from the chest down with limited use of his arms and hands. Before he was shot, Kent was an outgoing, promising junior hockey player. He enjoyed a part-time job at Safeway, which I did too in my younger years, and had plans to become a physical education teacher. Fast forward almost 25 years and a law degree behind him. I have one too.
We're both recovering lawyers.
The next thing you know, he's sharing his life with Canadians and working on files that are important to Canadian veterans. But before winning the federal seat in Calgary in last fall's federal election, and being named Canada's Minister of Veterans Affairs and Associate Minister of National Defence, Kent had already built a productive life that involved a lot of giving back to his community and all communities across Canada. He took on the role of Alberta representative for the National Education Association of Disabled Students and eventually became its president. He won 2 provincial elections in a row as Alberta MLA for Calgary Buffalo, serving from 2008 to 2015. He's constantly out and about, whether it's in Alberta or Ottawa, and I can attest to that because I run into him on the streets all over Ottawa, lending an empathetic ear to all those fortunate enough to cross his path. As a government, we have kept Minister Hehr extremely busy. In his first 8 months in office, he's traveled the country talking about Budget 2016 and how it's improving the financial security and well-being of veterans and Canadians across this great country. He's the chair of the Ad Hoc Committee on Northern Alberta Wildfires. Last month, he returned from France where he participated in ceremonies marking the 100th anniversaries of the battles of the Somme and Beaumont-Hamel. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to my fellow former Safeway stock boy, recovering lawyer and friend, the Honorable Kent Hehr, Minister of Veterans Affairs and Associate Minister of National Defence.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor and a privilege to be here in Thunder Bay, home of the Thunder Wolves, the largest Finnish population outside of that great country, and also just absolutely fabulous people. Yesterday, I learned that Thunder Bay was nicknamed the City of the Poppy. And did you know that here in 1921, that the poppy was adopted as the official symbol of remembrance? Following this decision, this has become a great symbol for us as a nation, for us as veterans, and in fact, recognized throughout the world. So Thunder Bay has left its mark on not only this nation, but world round. And thank you, Don and Patty, for welcoming me here to your community, for being strong members of our Liberal caucus, and my cabinet colleague, Patty. I can tell you what, they bring their ideas, they bring their thoughts, they bring the concerns of the people of Thunder Bay in all aspects of what they do in their work in Ottawa. And I can tell you what, they're great colleagues, and to be serving with them in the national government is a true joy. And I want to recognize your skill, both in those roles you play. Don's our head of our Aboriginal caucus, and of course, Patty is our Minister of Status of Women, but a leader of men and women, both. And I can tell you that. It's absolutely wonderful. Most importantly, I would like to thank our veterans and Canadian Armed Force members for their service. And that is why we are here today, to share in this great news because of their contributions to this great nation. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames and messieurs, I have been looking forward to this day since I was sworn in as Minister of National Defense. I'm not the Minister of National Defense, the Minister of Veterans Affairs and Associate Minister of National Defense. For the past 9 months, I've had the privilege of traveling across this nation from coast to coast to coast. And I've been able to share my life with veterans and to hear their stories. It has been a true joy. You know, receiving my mandate letter from the Prime Minister on November 4th was an experience I will never forget, as well as a constant reminder of the challenges that lie ahead. My team and I have been working very hard to implement all of the line items in that mandate letter, and today we are here to address a very specific one. And here I'm going to repeat it for you today. And it says, and I quote, "Reopen the 9 Veterans Affairs offices closed by the previous Conservative government." And I'm pleased to announce that here today we are doing just that. In January of 2017, this office will be open to give veterans and their families the in-person help and support they need. The Prime Minister gave me a mandate to do more for Canada's veterans, which means service and benefits that matter to them, financial security, independence, education, and employment opportunities, and ensuring their mental and physical well-being. We have worked hard to make this happen as quickly as possible. When the office here is up and running next January, approximately 1,700 veterans and other clients will use this and will serve not only Thunder Bay, but Greater Ontario will be served by over 8 employees who will be here to respond to questions, direct information on financial benefits and other assistance that they can receive, help with physical and mental evaluations, and to help build their lives. It is also a place where 50 veterans will be case managed, and they will be able to meet in person with that individual to help rebuild what issues are facing them. This office opening is significant and important as we work on improving the transition experience of those who release from the military. My department is working closely with Public Services and Procurement Canada to secure office spaces across the country so that we can open all the remaining offices as quickly and efficiently as possible. These other offices will be open between now and the end of May. Veterans told us these offices were important to them, important to their families, and important to their communities. And we have listened and taken action. Opening an office where a veteran can come in and get the same, if not better, level of care and attention they received while serving in the military is the least we can do for them when they return home. Part of our pledge in the last election campaign was to rebuild Veterans Affairs and to hire more case managers to better support and serve veterans and their families. I can tell you that under the former government, 1/3 of the frontline staff was let go. I am pleased to report as of May 2016, more than 250 frontline employers have been hired, and that number will continue to grow to 400 in total as we filled our promise to provide veterans and their families with the support they need where and when they need it. Veterans and families need our support, they deserve our support, and that's exactly what we are going to deliver. And on case managers, we are going to get to an average of case managers serving 25 to 1 in terms of veterans. And that number is not just pulled off a skyhook. That number comes from looking at best practices throughout military organizations around the world, looking at best practices in social work. When I came into this role as Minister of Veterans Affairs, case managers were seeing between 40 and 50 veterans per case manager. That was unacceptable, and they weren't getting the help they needed. We're changing that. I can also say that one of the true joys of being the minister is working with the public servants, people who go about their business in a quiet and professional fashion and support people with building their lives. I think we should have a big round of applause for those public servants who have worked with veterans in this area for a long, long time. Hiring frontline staff and opening offices were both direct actions related to Budget 2016, where we committed $5.6 billion to improving veterans' lives. We are closing a current number of current gaps in the system, restoring critical access to services, and improving the long-term financial security and independence of our ill and injured soldiers and their families in a fair and equitable way. By making changes improvements in the disability award, the earnings loss benefit, and the permanent impairment allowance, we are putting more money in the pockets of veterans. And lastly, but most importantly, I would like to say directly to all veterans and Canadian Armed Force members in this room that I have lived in peace and security since I was born in this country in 1969. And I owe, and in fact, all of us owe, a great deal of thanks for that security. For you have gone where your nation has asked you to go, done the heavy lifting, and not complained, not looked at it like a burden. You have instead done your duty, and we owe that obligation to support you when you return. And I, and everyone in this room, thanks you for that service. I can say as minister and as a government, we are committed to veterans' issues and their families. We will continue to work hard over the next 4 years to continue to build a better ministry, to build a more responsive community, because we see veterans as an important part of what makes our nation strong, what makes our nation proud. And I am so honored to be here today to share some time with you, to open up this office that will ensure we're building a better community and building a better Canada together. Thank you so much.